This is Adam from esportsheaven.com, and I am here with none other than Brokentier's Clockw0rk. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here. So, going into Evo, you're obviously playing Marvel. How are you feeling? How are you feeling confident? Do you feel like you can really take this?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident I could take this. That's why I'm here.
Awesome. So, what makes you so confident? Have you done some kind of training? Anything changed? Things like that?
Yeah, I've really focused on really optimizing and leveling up my play this year, and I think it's shown off. I've had some pretty good matches this year. I just had a win at SCR, and so I feel like ever since I got here, the first day I got here, which was on Wednesday, everyone's been telling me, yeah, looking for you to win, looking for you to get top 8, all this. So I feel like a little bit of pressure, kind of a lot of bit of pressure, but that's cool because that's how I like it. So
okay, all right, that's good to hear, man. But dialing the clocks back, obviously you were one of the best Marvel 2 players out there, and I guess it's not to say that you underperformed in Marvel 3, but perhaps you weren't right up there with everyone else at the right beginning. Now, would you say it's just like it was hard to adapt to the new game, or perhaps you weren't as dedicated? Like, what was going on in that process?
I think the biggest factors. All right, so let me get all the excuses out of the way. This is
man. Yeah, lay it all out, man. We could be here all day. I want to hear what you have to say.
So I think the two, throughout Marvel 3's life, obviously, three things. So one, it takes me a while to get started, I feel. So, Marvel 3 was out, it was new. I was kind of not, it'd been a long time since I really dedicated myself to a new game. So it took me a while to really be able to kind of, flex my creative muscles in Marvel 3. So, it's been year 5 now. So I feel a bit more comfortable as far as pushing my game forward. 2, it just so happened that right when Ultimate dropped, I was working full time, different jobs, and I couldn't dedicate as much time as I wanted to the game, but I did what I could. And 3, from the very get-go, once I saw Virgil, the release trailer, I was like, oh, I gotta play this character. But once Ultimate came out and I found out Amy has stance changes in the air, I said, oh, well, I have to make it work. I could do this. And I really took too long to change to my current team, Virgil Doom Strider. I really love Amy, but just that team composition, there's not enough juice. So I feel like if I wanted to use Doom and Strider, I had to find another character if I really wanted to, be truly competitive. And the Strider the Virgil worked out in that regard.
Okay, so does that mean we're never going to see Amy again? Or is she kind of like one of those things where that team is only viable in certain situations and you're willing to pull it out?
It's actually been a while since I used that team in tournament. However, I still use Amy from time to time. I just feel like she's not the best character to go with Doom Strider, so I'd like to explore maybe other Doom Amy teams, but not necessarily with Strider.
Okay. So you feel like the team you have right now, though, is that's your team?
I would have a hard time finding another team that I think fits me better in Marvel 3. I basically have 2 Striders and a Doom. That's fine with me.
All right, that's awesome, man. I'm glad that you finally found your footing. So when you were playing Marvel 2, there was a whole bunch of high stakes exhibitions that you were a part of. Some that were obviously, because back then they weren't exactly recorded, but they were kind of legendary, to say the least. Before I ask you exactly about those matches, how important do you feel like exhibitions and money matches are in Marvel itself and the fighting game community in general?
It's tough because for me, my perspective on it is there's 2 sides to it. On one side, from a competitor standpoint and someone who Marvel 2, it was tough because it was really difficult to win in Marvel 2, especially at any really huge events. For a long time, for example, Justin was undefeated, so a lot of times people were just playing for second place, and when Sanford got really good, people were playing for third place, that kind of deal. So I feel like a lot of the exhibitions and money matches that you saw out of that era, it was this hunger to win, even though you couldn't beat you couldn't beat Justin, you couldn't beat Sanford. A lot of us couldn't beat Justin, couldn't beat Sanford, so we wanted to. A lot of players, they would set that stuff up so they could win, even though they couldn't win in the tournament. So it was kind of like a 2-man tournament that Justin wasn't in, that kind of thing. But on the other hand, like, it's cool, like, to play and to have really something on the line, something to get your adrenaline going, your heart pumping, and if it makes you play like your best, then by all means. So I think that there's something to be said about high stakes matches with something on the line.
Okay, well, you've been obviously a part of quite a few that have been legendary. Of course, there's the one with Neo. I think that's the one that people remember the most. But going back, I guess, a few years, talk about your mindset going into the match, how you're feeling, and kind of the aftermath of it all.
Oh, geez. So I had my good friend Bill Wellman training me for the match. He's a Storm Sentinel commando, and I don't know. We just grinded for those. Like, I had been avoiding the match for a really long time. They're always trying to make me, Leo, come play. I was like, oh, I'm done. I'm not trying to play anymore. And I ended up like changing my mind last minute. Like, okay, fuck it, let's play. And we were training for the match maybe like for a good 2 weeks straight, and it just sucks because when I went into the match I felt like I was playing really well, it's just my execution suffered. So I mean, on one hand I feel like he stole like maybe 3 or 4 games from me, but I think I stole like quite a few from him too. So I did the best I could. It was an uphill battle, but a first to 15 is kind of difficult because to play with the sort of intensity that you need to do well with Strider, Doom, and Marvel 2, it's really tough to keep that up. So I mean, I did the best I could. No regrets, but I mean, should have beat him.
It's just how it is, man. That's how it goes. But obviously, since you are this Marvel 2 player that moved on to Marvel 3, there are obviously things that are different between both scenes. Is there anything that you really missed from the Marvel 2 scene? And is there anything that you like about the Marvel 3 scene that the Marvel 2 scene did not have?
Let's see. So that's a tough one. The thing I really like about the Marvel 3 scene is everyone's really helpful. There's all kinds of resources to find, any of like the online groups, whether it be the Reddit Marvel 3 group or any of the social media, everyone's really helpful, willing to share tech, really willing to travel out of state, to just, play with other scenes, that kind of thing. So the community, the Marvel 3 community, it's really helpful. It's really welcoming in that regard. Everyone's willing to bring in new players, teach them how to play, that kind of thing. So that's really cool. The thing that I miss the most going from Marvel 2 to Marvel 3 is I feel like players these days, like, I think especially from a lot of top players, I feel like players don't really play to be the best anymore.
Right.
And they complain about, oh, we need a patch, or oh, we need more money, or we need more people, we need more players, and it's like, it's bull, dude. Like, if everyone's playing to be the best, strictly to be the best, that's what raises the level of play, and that's what, like, it elevates everything. All those things that people complain about, I feel like at best those things can be solved as long as everyone has the right attitude going in, and I believe that attitude is to try to play to be the best, and play the best you can, and I feel like people are always so quick to make excuses on why they lost, or, oh, I'm too busy to play, or those guys are too good, they're gods, that kind of thing. And I feel like there's some of that fire and hunger that really drove the Marvel 2 scene and really allowed it to thrive. I feel like there's part of that missing in the Marvel 3 scene. But I mean, we're still in the middle of Marvel 3 right now, so I feel like players are getting hungry, especially this year. Like, the gap from like the top and the level right under them is really decreased. So I mean, we still have some so good shit. We still have like ways to go. So I just feel like if people will play their best, like, it'll solve everything else.
All right, there is so much I want to talk about from what you just said. Oh my God, there's so much. Okay, so I'll start with your idea about patches and how sometimes people complain a bit too much about them. And this is something that spreads not only to fighting games, spreads out to all other esports, things like that. People always talk about, should there be patches or should you just adapt? Should you just, go with what the game is and do the best that you can? Like, how do you feel like you strike that balance of, all right, that is imbalance, like, sorry, no, or when do you draw the line and say, no, you should play and you should just deal with it?
Well, it's tough because I come from the background of all the games I ever played, whether it be Marvel 2, Marvel 3, CVS 2. These games were never updated, so I'm not really the best person to ask when it comes to, like, oh, what do you think about patches and all that, because I never really played a game that got patched. On the other hand, I will say that when it comes to fighting games, as long as the engine is like super open-ended. You know, that's why I like Marvel so much. And you have these really super open-ended engines where players, if they come up with an idea and they want to execute it, it's all a matter of them, you know, just going through with it and doing the best that you can. And I feel like, especially with fighting games, it can take years for the meta to develop, you know. And when you know, my personal belief is when you add patches into that, it kind of interferes with that. So I just think that I think that players need to have more faith in themselves when it comes to overcoming the things that they feel are broken or cheap, you know. Like there's a lot, like these games are like they're so deep, so that you can, for the most part, I can't speak for all games, but for all the games that I've played and all the games that I've seen, like for the most part, there's nothing that's too good, you know. Everything could be overcome, all players can be beaten.
Okay, all right, that's very, very interesting. Now, you talked a little bit about the hunger between everyone, the hunger to win. You know, why do you feel like recently that the top has kind of decreased? I guess the distance between the top and the other players has decreased. Do you feel like the top players have kind of slacked off, or do you feel like everyone's just catching up?
It could be a matter of both. Like I feel at the top, especially when you're dominant for so long, it's easy to become complacent. It's easy to not really try to push your game forward because no one's pushing you, you know. So I feel like anyone that's still playing now, that's playing at a high level, they're committed at this point. And there's a lot of players out there who aren't. They won't settle with being mediocre with their characters or their setups or their combos, and when you put those players in with these top players who have been just winning, you know, consistently, some with like barely even trying type deal, like you're gonna get that where that gap it's gonna be decreased. So I think that from the Marvel 3 scene, I really like what I've been seeing this year. The level of play has really increased. There had been a lull like maybe a year or two ago where I would watch like majors and everyone's dropping combos all over the place, not doing optimal stuff. I don't really think you see that too much anymore. Everyone's on point these days.
Okay, so now you talk about the hunger between all the other players. Do you feel like you have the hunger now? Do you want to be the best? Like, do you want to show everyone like what you can do, or do you feel like maybe you're a bit a part of that?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Two things. One, like I do feel that even since the beginning, I never started playing. You know, I grew up in the arcade, and I was always trying to play for competition's sake. And I've never been one of those. Like, I'm always trying to just like be the best not only that I can be, but you know, I'm trying to be the best in the entire world type deal and win Evo. You know, that's why I'm here. On the other hand, I feel like I kind of use that as an excuse to not do what like I see like some other players doing when it comes to like content creation or streaming and all that. Because like I'm not so concerned about like, you know, producing videos and getting like a large like fan base and all this stuff. Like I just want to play, man. I just want to play in tournaments. I just want to compete. So yeah, I feel like I still have that fire, that hunger. Like competition is still like paramount for me. On the other hand, I really should do my part as far as content creation and rallying the community and that kind of thing.
Okay. All right. So you're saying that like a part of you does feel like you should perhaps do that, or do you feel like you're going to move towards that in the future, or? The
thing is, I've said in the past, oh, I'm going to do this, I plan to do this, I'm going to make this show or some stupid whatever, and I don't want to make any promises that I can't keep, but I will look into creating more content in the future.
Okay. All right, that's good to hear. But I'd be very happy to see it in the future. But you know, you are part of Brokentier. Of course, you've been a part of them for a while. How has it been being with them so long? Like, what does that relationship mean to you? And what's it like having so many amazing teammates to play with and to kind of bounce ideas off of?
Oh, Brokentier is awesome. Like, they're my homies. And, you know, we get together at the majors all the time. We take care of each other. We have a really good time. Clockw0rk really takes good care of us. We've been at, you know, a lot of the major events, not only this year, but years prior. And I'm glad to work with them. I'm glad that I joined them early, and it's been great ever since.
Oh, awesome, man. That's good to hear. So I guess as a sort of final question before we kind of wrap things up, you know, everyone says that kind of Marvel is dead or whatever. Of course, it's probably not true, but to what extent do you think it is true? How much do you think the meta has developed? How much more can it develop? And what do you think the scene can do to grow?
I do think that when people, I feel like maybe 90% of the time when people talk about Marvel's dead, they've already had like a chip on their shoulder type deal, like they don't want to see Marvel succeed. You know, there's no other reason that I feel that there's no other reason really that you'd want to say like stuff like that. It's nonsense to me. Why would you say that about anyone's passion, that kind of thing? On the other hand, I do feel that there's more to a scene's growth than the number of players that are playing. There's more to a scene's growth than the number of people that are watching. This isn't to say that there aren't any people playing and that there aren't any people watching, but that's not the end-all metric when it comes to a scene's growth. And the thing is, I've been around forever, you know, and I've been around like my very first Evo, 2002, very first Evo, when we were playing Marvel 2 at that tournament, when people would lose, they'd be like, oh yeah, you know, that's it for Marvel 2. Marvel 2's done. This is the last year it's going to be relevant. We got CVS 1 or CVS 2, you know, just came out, and we're not going to see any more Marvel games. And that was 2002. You know, so I've been there, done that when it comes to people talking about my games dying. You know, as long as there's people playing, you know, there's people playing. And when it comes to a scene's growth, again, it's not just about numbers. It's about like the level of play, the amount of passion, you know, that kind of thing. And I think that the passion and the level of play has never been higher in Marvel 3.
Okay. All right, man. That's all I got for now. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, are there any shout-outs you want to give, or words you want to say to your fans? How can your fans follow you?
Wow, it's been such a long time since I plugged my Twitter. You can find me on Twitter, all the fans out there, at MVC Clockw0rk. Work has a 0 in it. I was a teenager when I made the name, I'm sorry. And shouts to Brokentier and everyone that supports me.
All right, stay tuned to esportsheaven.com for more coverage of EVO 2015. See you guys.